Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners. Goldylocks Productions presents Enlightening Conversations with Pam Silver Eagle.
Greetings, everyone. We bring you peace. We bring in the energies of oneness, and we welcome all who feel called to join us, who are gathering with us now, and all those who gather with us at whatever time they are called to join in. And so I have invited one of my sacred sisters, Joanne Goll, back on the perch with you here today. If you missed it, we were on together, I think 2 weeks ago on the perch, and talked a lot about our sacred mission together, how we came together, and some of the amazing work we're doing here in the up in this area of Pennsylvania, northwestern PA, and really the border of Ohio and into New York State. And I'm going to have Joanne introduce herself and share with you some of her amazing gifts that she has flowing through her, and how we've combined our gifts to do this work together. Peacemakers.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, my name is Joanne, and I've been awake and on my journey since about 2012, I think, is when things really started happening. And I'm an earth goddess. I do a lot of healing ceremonies for the planet. I use crystals. I use color frequencies, and I do clearings using the violet flame energy. I do a lot of clearings and transmuting of energies that are in our earth, in the meridians and the ley lines of the planet. And so I just go wherever I'm directed to go. I get guidance from the angels, the ascended masters, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, many different beings, the angelic, the celestial white beings, and Native American spirits as well. So I just follow my guidance and have a lot of fun while I'm doing it. And I've been brought together with Pam and many other goddesses to do this work, and we have fun.
Indeed, we do. We're having some amazing adventures, and for those of you who may be first on the perch, could be your first time. This is my sacred offering space every Tuesday at 1, and I am Pam Silver Eagle. And of course, you can read the descriptions, but as a quick little note, I am a sacred warrior of peace. So the Rainbow Warriors. We've come back. We've come back to at this powerful time of great awakening and this great shift to help co-create a heart-centered, unity-filled civilization. And a big part of that is recognizing the great law and this great web of life that we all are living on. Earth Mother is hosting us as our loved mother, our home. And so many of us have been indigenous, and Joanne and I have come to realize that we have been together, our family members as well, in another lifetime, at least one other lifetime, as part of this the great people up here in this region of the Haudenosaunee. Help me out with that. We want to just be really
Haudenosaunee.
Haudenosaunee.
We're learning too. It's like
We are. And, that's one of the first things I said on my very first show is you will always have organic with me. And so likely those I am journeying with, because we are heart centered.
Yeah.
And, we are
Yeah.
all of us continue to learn. As part of what I was introducing myself as this great rainbow warrior, I am a wayshower. I am a very gifted healer. I too work with, I'm a conduit for the rainbow frequencies and an anchor. So I have a very deep, passionate soul contract with Mother. And I also want to say, because on this Goldylocks Productions, we are grateful for this platform and for Tiffany
Yes.
created this, and through her guidance has been working diligently and passionately to create this platform when there's so much other obstacles with perhaps other social media platforms. So, um, you know, we are both working off, or at least I am, off my cell phone. So I cannot see as much when we have the people here on the perch with us as you're leaving comments. Uh, but I always go back and I try to comment after the show, get back to each one. We appreciate everyone who is, again, on board with us here on in the loft, in the tree, and the branches with this great tree of life. And we neither one of us will be doing any personal readings today. We are here bringing teachings and sharing in a very organic way our, our walk of the red road and how we are here helping Earth Mother to heal these energies of the traumas that humanity has, experienced. Uh, each of us is really clear that we're doing this work within. We are also helping to clear lineage and karma stuff with our family members, even our family members within this lifetime, as the clearings for all humanity, from all the injustices. And there certainly has been much injustice. And we are turning this page, and we are all beginning a new cycle as we are consciously co-creating this new earth. And so that's where so many, many of us are coming together. Again, we speak this often with those who we really resonate with from the heart center, and many journeyed with other lifetimes. Perhaps on the last show, Joanne and I had also shared that, in past lifetimes, we could be that we were up to some shenanigans that wasn't so good, and someone has the peacemakers. So,
Yes.
Joanne, do you want to add anything to that? We've had a few aha moments and some laughs about that.
Well, I believe we've all, played so many roles, and it wasn't always good. There were some very negative things that, and I know for myself, I've been part of killing other people or in the wars and whatever. But it's important that now all of these things come up and we just transmute all of it. Any discordant energy that no longer serves us, whether it's from a past life, our present life, it's when it comes up, just ask it to be transmuted and taken to the light, return to you as the golden consciousness, the God consciousness, and in the planet too. All of these areas where there were wars or any kind of killing or murder or anything, it went into Mother Earth. And so she's in her process, and we're in the same process with her, and we're clearing and transmuting together.
And Joanne had mentioned earlier, and again, if you someone who tune into offerings on Tuesdays on a regular basis, you'll know that I too work with the Ascended Masters, the Angelic Realms. Certainly, we've been working with many of us who've awakened and remembered why we've come back this lifetime, working with sacred tools, so many different sacred tools, and the sacred flames are one of those great gifts. They are the rays of God. And once we study them, the Ascended Masters are so there to help us gain our mastery and to help us with our soul missions. And, these are very real rays. And when we set the intention, which I also speak of often, it's so important, when we're sending up prayers or doing ceremony or working with these sacred tools, whatever they may be, that we set the intention. and work from there, and we helpers. And again, we all, because of our many incarnations, we all live differently with different helpers. But the other thing I've shared is sometimes there's many different names for the same helpers, and finding that to be true, and so much fun hearing the blue jay call out now, and brings joy because there's real relevance. Is one of the sacred rays is the ray of God, the blue ray. It's the ray of truth, and it is the will of God. And Jay is speaking also throat, right? So
Yeah.
clear and singing as it grabs a peanut or two from the peanut feeder over here, with the bird feeders up in the yard. But that also speaks to this great oneness and this great web of life that we live on, and amongst this is the unity consciousness where we coexist, and we recognize that the messengers come in all forms. And so that beautiful blue jay was just perfect timing, and of course no coincidence, all synchronicity. And that's how we roll. And once we open up to that world and that understanding, we can navigate more in more of a flow instead of resistance. And we manifest because we're powerful manifestors, and we co-create all from this heart center, which is the divine sacred union within self. Okay, the balance many have been talking about, and we're moving through big time. If you haven't checked out Reverend Lee Chapin's offering from yesterday, go into the archives there on Goldylocks Production, or check out Lee Chapin's website or Facebook page. And we're all talking about the same things, this great awareness of this new cycle, and we just crossed through this huge weekend, and the energies coming in are helping us to move forward. It's important to set intention. So if I may, we've got a lot to share about some of this work that we've been talking about, that we've done together. And I'm gonna Joanne and I were talking a little while ago before we came on the air, and we decided a good way to really bring people into an awareness of the base of what we're talking about, the teachings of the great peacemaker, is to read, what we know to be the truth of what the original people, as they teach it, it's been passed down through the ancestors. And we'll get you on board in case you've never heard of the great peacemaker with the story, and we'll go from there. So, Joanne, whenever you're ready.
Okay. So I'm just going to read you a little explanation of the peacemakers. Over 1,000 years ago, on the shores of Onondaga Lake in present-day central New York, democracy was born. The Seneca, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, and the Mohawk people had been warring against each other, and there was great bloodshed. These people, the Five Nations, had forgotten their ways, and their actions saddened the Creator. The Creator sent a messenger to the people so that the Five Nations could live in peace. The messenger is referred to as the peacemaker. The peacemaker carried the powerful words of peace to the Five Nations. The peacemaker traveled in a stone canoe to show to these troubled people that his words are true. In order for the Creator's message to spread, the peacemaker sought out the warring leaders of the people of the Five Nations. In searching for these people, the peacemaker came upon a woman. This woman had no alliances, but did provide shelter and food for the men as they passed to war upon each other. The peacemaker told her about the message, and that her actions were also saddening the Creator. After listening to the message, she agreed to follow the message. The peacemaker set aside a special duty for the women of the Five Nations, the clan mothers. The peacemaker then traveled to all of the nations, spreading his word of peace. One of the most feared men of the Five Nations was the Onondaga man named Tadaho. Tadaho was said to be so evil that his body was twisted and snakes grew from his head. The peacemaker's message had begun to spread and was changing the minds of the people. One of the people who had accepted the good words of the Creator and decided to help the peacemaker was Hiawatha. Tadaho was determined to stop his message of peace, to stop this message of peace. So determined that he killed Hiawatha's daughter. Grief-stricken, Hiawatha was no longer able to spread the Creator's words with the peacemaker. While grieving, Hiawatha found words that would help console others who lost loved ones. He devised a method to remember these words by stringing purple and white fresh water clamshells together on strings. Hence, the first wampum was made. Once Hiawatha's mind was clear, he and the peacemaker were able to confront Tadaho again. The message of peace was unstoppable. This time, they had the support of 49 other leaders from all of the 5 nations. It is at this point when they combined, they combed the snakes from Tadaho's hair, and he accepted Creator's message and became the 50th chief. They symbolized this union of peace by uprooting a great white pine tree, and they threw their weapons of war into the hole as a mighty stream washed away their weapons of war. They replanted the tree, and the peacemaker placed an eagle on top to warn the Haudenosaunee people. These are the people of the Longhouse, of any dangers to this great peace. The Hiawatha Wampum Belt was made to record the event of the 5 nations joining together in peace. Each nation is represented with the Onondagas symbolized in the great white tree of peace. After the tree was replanted, the peacemaker stated the following words: "Under the shade of this tree of peace, there shall you sit and watch the fire of the League of 5 Nations. Roots have spread out from the tree of great peace. These are the great white roots, and their nature is peace and strength. If any man or any nation shall obey the laws of peace, they may trace back to the roots of the tree. They shall be welcome to take shelter beneath the great evergreen tree." The peacemaker had spread the words of the Creator. This has been forever known as the Great Law. The peacemaker had also showed the new Haudenosaunee people how to continue this process after a leader has fallen. He bestowed the power to select the leaders to the women, namely the clan mother. It is the responsibility of the women to look over the people to see who would make a good leader. Together, the chief and the clan mother work together for the people. The titles of these first 50 chiefs have been preserved by the clan mothers, as she is responsible for ensuring that the title continues to be used wisely. This process of selecting chiefs has continued at Onondaga for countless centuries and still continues today.
Thank you for delivering that story to us. More than a story, it's, it is the structure, the pillar on which really our current, what we call the United States, which is known as Turtle Island, is to be formed. The forefathers of the intrusion of the Europeans, after they arrived and they heard of this way, the great law that the Haudenosaunee and, the other, many other nations really were following from the ancestry of their spiritual wisdom being passed down from the star nations and so forth, and Earth Mother on how to be. And so the original intent, so they said, was the intention to create the new law for the new people that have arrived as their structure of government. And so what we know as the U.S. Constitution was supposed to be in pattern with this great law.
Yeah.
And things went awry, as most of us realize. And so to this day, it's been coming, this way of shifting within and without our own selves. How do we choose to be in the world? And we are in the midst of it. We are in the midst of it now. And, we have been spending this last however many months of global reset. I refer to it also as the spiritual global retreat, because it's given us all a chance to pause and get really clear. And as revelations continue to surface, we get to make a choice to stand in our power, our not power of force, but power of sovereignty, our sovereign selves, and really each person has to ask from within, what is in alignment with your heart? That needs to be the guiding compass. And from there, then we can be set on the right path. And we have many different paths. However, those that are heart-centered, those who are of the unity consciousness, oneness, those paths all come together. And, that's what's happening in our society. And, we all have choices to make. And, we've watched all the current shenanigans play out for months now. And, people I've talked about even on my shows on Tuesday that, we have to honor each other and each other's beliefs and whatever their truth is at the time. And yet those of us who are really clear that we've come back to co-create this new earth, it has to be from a place of love, like in the most immense love of source, divine love, we could call it. And in order to get there, we have to do the work. Each of us has to do our own internal work. So within as without. And we talked about earlier in the show, we've had to strip away so much karma, so much wounding, so much pain that we have endured ourselves, each of us, but that we have also caused others this lifetime and beyond. And it's intense. This is an intense time, but we are receiving so much assistance from all of our divine helpers. We'll put it that way, because there's so many, and we talked about some of those that we work with at the beginning of the show. But back to this great the wampum belt and this intention, and Joanne and I know I can speak for myself, and I have mentioned this before on the perch, is that I've known for most of this lifetime that there was a deep connection with the indigenous ways of this land. And originally I thought the culture was, it's exciting, it's interesting. But as I began to have my awakening, I recognized that it was so much deeper than that for me. And I let that be my guide, the indigenous ways of my indigenous soul lead me through all the different cycles, and many, many, many times rising up from the ashes to get to where I am now, so that I can, do what I'm here to do with my soul mission. And we all, each of us, continue to learn, and we continue to expand. We never stop. However, this is a time to get really clear on how we are to be, how we are going to be, and what we are co-creating. And so Joanne and I, we were introduced through Lee Chapin, Rev. Lee Chapin. So we're grateful, and we always give a shout out to our sister Lee. And we talked, if you can always go back and archive our show from the other week, we talked pretty extensively about some of our work. Whit and Lee was up here with us for a weekend in this region, and Lee and Joanne actually did some work together before I met up with them up in New York State. But we also then talked a little bit about Joanne and I was up in New York State, up in this beautiful land of the Seneca a few weeks ago, and then up in the whole region up around the beautiful Letchworth State Park. And we follow our guidance, and so some of this, some of the indigenous culture and the names you hear us, and we spoke a few moments ago about, we're learning, and I'd say remembering, because when something resonates, or even from a long time ago, it lights us up, and you feel the heart chakra. So that's how it's been on our journeys, and we work really well together at sharing our sacred gifts. We put pieces of the puzzle together. We have these great aha. Many times we both the same download, however it comes, and we look at each other and go, "Wow!" So that's the fun part of it now, And so Joanne, let's maybe then take it to kind of looking at the timeline here. Let's talk with the folks about how we came together a couple weeks and back to this great teaching from the Peacemaker, and many people are familiar with and let's pick up and talk about our journey on that very sacred Saturday, which was 2 Saturdays ago.
Yeah, we were directed to go to Onondaga Lake, where the Peacemaker tree was planted at the north end of the lake. And we were on a mission to just go and to try and reignite or bring forth the true intentions of the Peacemaker, and for the whole planet. And so we did some. We brought a seedling. We brought a seedling with us from a great white pine from this area.
And if in case anyone missed it, as Joanne was just reading a few moments ago about the story, that it was the great pine, the white pine, that was planted as the peace tree. So it's significant. And we had found, I think the day before, whatever, we found all these beautiful seedlings. And again, we talked about it on our last episode. And we knew we were getting the downloads then that to go to the Onondaga Lake and to the where the peace tree was originally planted, and again with intention and ceremony. And but Joanne was reading up on the history. Again, she's right up in those parts, and what she read was that the original peace tree is no longer standing. And I think you said that they had tried planting
several were planted, but because of the pollution, Onondaga Lake was once known as the most polluted lake in the United States, and I think maybe even in the world. And they've been working on cleaning it up, and it's been a group effort with the indigenous people involved, many different peoples and groups involved, and there's been much improvement, and that continues to this day, but in the past there much destruction happened there, and the pollution of the land.
And one of the things we talk about too that we're really clear on is when there's the harmful modern day, between the chemicals and all the waste and the toxins that we've been putting into the sacred waters, and not a sacred way. I talk about way of beingness. This is all part of what we're changing now, but we're also very well aware of energetically. And Joanne, maybe you can mention too how the insight on the ley line up there, and how, again, this is not just for the territory that we're working in, but because it was such a significant area, historically, yes, but also the people up here, the original, they all, the Europeans referred to them as the Iroquois Nation, and that's not their, so who done So they, where was I going with that? Oh, they recognize, of course, this is up in the Finger Lake region of New York State, for those of you
Right.
familiar with that territory, and they recognize that area as it's the soul of Earth Mother, right?
Right, right. And in some information that we came across about the whole area, and I want to just read this to you. There are many scars that remain as a testament to the previous violence and pillaging of the land. And then history shows that what has transpired on Onondaga Lake and its environs has affected America and the rest of the world. I believe that this is true since Gaia's soul resides in the greater upstate area and resonates around America and the world. I believe that since Onondaga Lake is the most polluted lake in the world, that consciousness is contributing to make pollution and global warming the biggest threats to our world. Just like all the positive initiatives such as democracy that were planted there took seeds around the world, so does negative contagion such as pollution. So this is it's a key area because New York State and this area was the birthplace of democracy. And so the things that transpired there have had an effect on the whole planet. And, I really believe that it is time that people learn about the indigenous people of the United States, because they are the true stewards of the earth, and they have a lot to teach us about that. And we really need to pay attention to this now, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. We are stewards of the earth, and one of our main missions is to live in peace and harmony on this planet with all people, and take care of the planet, the water, the air, the land, all of it. And our indigenous brothers and sisters, they've known this. That's how they lived. And their legacy needs to be brought forward, and their teachings need to be brought forward. And that's what Pam and I are trying to do. We've been doing ceremony with the earth to clear, these discordant energies that have been there. It's time for all of us to wake up and remember that we are stewards of the earth. And I highly recommend that, people who are listening, you start doing some research. The Onondaga people there's a website, as do the Senecas, the Oneidas, the Mohawks, all of them. And especially people that live in New York State. This is so important for you to know, the history, the true history. There are things that we were told that, there was just one small portion in 4th grade of New York State history, and it didn't even touch on. There's so much information that it needs to come out now, and the truth about things and the teachings of the indigenous people. So that's what I'm being driven to do. And so we went to Onondaga, and we were guided to go. We were walking along the lake, and not anywhere near the peace tree, but we were guided.
Yeah, real quick, it took us a little while to figure out, because of the whole restrictions with COVID as far as where we could park. And then we had conversation, because we realized that the point that we figured we needed to get to was quite a walk down the lake. And it was a hot day. How far? Okay, and it was a hot day, and we were, which 2 miles may not seem like a lot, but we were packing a lot of stuff. We had all of our sacred tools and so forth. And so we had a conversation, and Joanne thought, well, maybe we could find a parking lot down there a little bit closer. And I said, no, I'm feeling really strongly. I said, we're meant to walk this. And I said, And she said, yeah, we're good with walking it. So we did. And, I could speak for myself, but we were sharing along the walk, of course, sometimes in silence and just taking everything in and listening to guidance, and sometimes sharing. And I was having visions as I was walking after we were out there a while. And, I thought to myself, I was kind of laughing because I thought, gosh, it's hot. And those of you that know me know I'm an outdoor person. And, I taught outside in the elements of Florida for almost 30 years. It was my classroom. And I typically spend my days when as much outside as I can, from morning to sunset. It is where I am most at home. And so, it's not that I'm not used to being outside. It was hot, and I thought I had some shoes on that I wouldn't probably typically wear for that sort of a hike, but nevertheless, it's what I had on that day. And I was kind of like, I was thinking, man, it's hot. And then I was hearing, oh, this is nothing compared to the long walk. And then I was having these visions, and I realized, of course, referring to the Trail of Tears. And I don't think I really spoke it at the time, because I was answering my conversation, and I to myself and whoever was tuning in with me. And I said, yes, I said, it's not as bad as the long walk, I remember. And then Joanne and I talked about it later, and she was having the same sort of experience. And then we won't go away now. I hope we remember to speak it, but we'll talk about later why that was necessary as part of our whole day of ceremony on this sacred walk on that Saturday. So there we are. We're hiking down the lake, and we happened to, I don't know.
We both looked over at this tree at the same time. It was like
that.
It just caught our attention. And I said, we need to go to that tree, Pam. She said the same thing. She's like, yeah, we need to go over there. It's calling us. And so we both went over, and Pam started playing her flute and honoring, each direction, north, south, east, west, doing whatever she was guided to do. And I also, right before, I just wanted to mention, soon after we left the parking lot and we're walking along the lake, an eagle flew over. The first eagle flew over. And then we took, we might have walked just a little bit farther, and I look over the lake to the left, and here come these other two birds. And I said, Pam, I think those are eagles. Those are two more eagles. And and sure enough, as they got closer, and so they flew over too. They were just leading us, down the path to where we needed to go.
And I don't ever take it for granted, but it's interesting. On my own journeys up here, and for the months I've been in the Northwest Pennsylvania area, working around Lake Erie and helping to heal the land here and traumas here. And then after Joanne and I met and started talking, she was sharing the same. And we're seeing a lot of the similar totems. And, the eagle has been guiding us, leading us. And of course, when you have a tree of eagles, it's pretty special. And then if you remember back to what Joanne spoke when she was given the story of the peace tree, it was the bald eagle, the great eagle, that was adorned on top of that tree by the indigenous people to really set that as the totem, as the symbol of freedom. But also, I see it as the eagle eye, the one, the creator's eye that watches over all. And so I believe that, it is part of what we're experiencing now as humanity, that there's been so much undercover and so many untruths and a lot of wrongdoings throughout the history of time. And, this is a time of great, what I call true justice, as these revelations up, and in the humanness, it's hard to sort out, what may be true and what may not be true with all the shenanigans that's going on. However, the divine knows, and nothing escapes the watchful eye of Creator, of Great Spirit. And so, it is wise to make amends and to be walking in your truth from a heart-centered space for all of us. because nothing goes unchecked by the divine, and that's that's where we're at. So as we were here at this tree, and again, as Joanne said, I was honoring with sending up prayers with flute. We honored the directions, and Joanne went into action and placing her crystals, and I'll let her speak more to that in just a second. But I was, you feeling, we were both feeling the energy of this beautiful tree, and at some point I looked down and I said to Joanne, I said, it was a maple tree, right, Joanne? It was the silver maple. Is that right?
Yeah, the tree that we went to was a silver maple.
Silver maple. And, we were in search of this, however we felt guided to this, what we thought would be the original spot of this original white pine, which is the peace tree of peace. And so I looked down at this maple tree, and there in the roots and folded in the roots of the bark is, I'm still going, what? Because we looked, and there's this beautiful just seedling of a white pine.
Of a white pine. Of a pine tree.
Growing out of this,
growing at the base of this tree.
This maple tree. And so we went, we knew this was very special. We could feel it, more than knowing we knew. And so then, Joanne, you can, because you do this beautiful work with the crystals. So you can talk about the crystals again and where they came from and what you were doing, setting your intention as you were setting that up while I was doing my thing.
Well, I was placing crystals from Hot Springs, Arkansas, around the tree. And I was being guided to establish 4 great crystalline pillars of light, one to the north, one to the south, one to the east, one to the west, around the lake. And those pillars would help the healing of the planet and go down into the ley lines. I sent them in the roots of the trees, into the water, down to the heart of Mother Earth, to clear and cleanse and bring those waters back to pristine conditions, to bring the land back, clear the pollution, all of those energies from the factories that were around that lake at one time, and the salt mine. There was a salt mine nearby, and so that was my intention with these wonderful crystal pillars. So it was.
So between the crystal pillars and the prayers we were sending up, and then remember had toted in a number of these beautiful seedlings of white pine seedlings. So, and of course, honored with some sacred feathers that have come, some significant feathers.
Yeah.
Oh, and
we did this beautiful ceremony and left gifts and honored all the people that have come before us, and Mother Earth, and it was very sacred.
And for all those who were, it's always fun to watch that, the people that get drawn to what we're doing, whether we're, just setting up casting the sacred circle or the sacred space, or if we're in the midst of our ceremony, people that come and, most of the time, some just seemingly a little curious, but most of the time it's those who are awakened and feeling the energy, seeing whatever it is they're seeing, and just mostly feeling it in the heart center. And, so that was part of the intention, is that anyone that comes, and for everyone and anyone who was within the range of being able to feel the peace, the tranquility, the love, the harmony that we were anchoring in. Right. And using the violet flame and some sacred symbols, and the purification and Serapis Bay was invoked, and for Saint Germain, and just this again, the Ascended Masters, and we were working with, we won't go into it too much. We talked about that a little bit, but totally being guided by Archangel Metatron and some of the other archangels. So we were already preparing as we were riding up there with the sound frequencies and the toning. So,
the universal archangels. The universal archangels are known by their tone. And so we were toning on the way up there and bringing in that intention with us. So they were helping us again. Each one has a specific purpose with raising the frequency and then clearing things, and then them bringing in the highest frequency to maintain balance and peace and harmony. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was very exciting.
So after we completed that, we decided to set off down the lake because we were still in search of this original spot of the.
Hike the rest of the way, try and find, the peace tree. And when we went up there, we got guided to also go into the water and again work on the water and bring blessings to the water. And Pam, played more flute, and I again worked with the crystalline energies and brought them down into the water to clear. And and then we finally did find what we think is the peace tree.
Well, and
we did a special ceremony there.
Yeah, and what we stood over when Joanne was just referring to the work we were doing with the water. I was, as we were walking up the lake, not so bad, but that place we ended up, and there was a lot of people there that day in the park.
There was a lot of people.
So we were there on the water's edge, or I'm standing in the water, but it was really dirty. The shore was filled with litter. And for those of you who've been around enough sunsets and sunrises and sunsets, you remember the commercial of I don't know if it was Russell Crowe. I can't remember the Native American. Remember the commercial, and they had a tear coming down from the Native American. Yeah. And it was the litter, like, don't pollute, even way back in the day. Yeah. That's what I was feeling, not even seeing, but feeling from my own soul, is just, we know better. People, we know better. And yet, it's a matter of disrespect, and in this disrespect and disconnect to Earth Mother, this is the type of actions, and the laziness and the lower consciousness to no consciousness of people, of convenience. And so as we spend more time out on Earth Mother these days, and I believe it helps people to reconnect to her, and so then to establish, or we remember the great respect that we ought to have for Mother, our beloved Mother. And she's hosting us, and so we found this space. Joanne actually walked about as I was still at the water's edge, and she yelled over to me and said, "Hey, this space feels kind of special." So whether or not it was truly, and we, part of our ongoing adventure, we plan on finding out, where that actual spot is. But we held this particular spot that we felt represented for us and for our intentions, the original space of the original Tree of Peace. And we did a big clearing there as well. And if you haven't seen my promos that I put out for our show today, our share today, then you can take a look at my Pam Silver Eagle Facebook page. And I've got some really cool pictures from this very day, this adventure, this journey, this sacred day that we journeyed together. You can take a look at those pictures, and you'll have some good visual to connect with our words and what you're feeling in our heart, your heart from our heart of this share. But so Joanne, it looks like we've got maybe, just about 11 minutes left. When we completed, the ceremony there at the tree, and I did put again some pictures of both of us standing on what is left, just all that's left of this space is, it's actually, it's sitting now, current day, in the midst of a parking lot there on the lake, on Onondaga Lake, because remember, this is a park. And there's just a little bit remnants of an old tree there that we were actually, it's where the pictures are from. So, um, after we completed our ceremony there and we headed back up the lake, where did our aha come about that because on the way down the lake, even after our ceremony around this beautiful maple tree with the white pine, it still didn't fully connect. I mean, we knew that was big and we held ceremony there, but at some point we had this big aha of this is to represent this tree. And again, you can see it in the pictures that I put up. This is the representation of the new tree of peace.
The new tree.
And
the new tree for the new earth divine energies, the new earth blueprint for all of humanity, to honor each other, honor Mother Earth, live in peace with all people on the planet. And so that was the representation, that little baby tree growing. I mean, it was just so powerful to see that where it was. And I'm like, my gosh, Pam, I think, this is just amazing that we found this for us to see this.
We stopped, of course, on our journey back to the vehicle, another, 2-mile trek back the other way. And we had a lot of shares in between. But when we got back to that tree, we set that intention on behalf of all humanity. We did, we spoke a lot of forgiveness and we did a lot of clearing down at the other tree.
Right.
Part of our ceremony, as Joanne was saying, and we want to speak here, even the two of us, we're going to speak that we recognize on behalf of, and I am in the profile of the body temple I'm in this lifetime. Obviously, you all can see what it is, and I do not have any native, any indigenous blood in me this lifetime that I know of. It's this soul, and so many of just like me and Joanne, that we have lived in these lifetimes. I know that I have sat in great council, as medicine woman, as chief, as faith keeper, and I hold that in a very sacred way. And when we hold that in our heart, when we know that in our heart as our truth, and we do what we are doing, and individually and collectively, and there's so many of you out there, other brothers and sisters who have the same knowing and are holding these ceremonies and your soul missions in the same way, that I want to recognize that, it brings me tears that, what has happened to not just those here of this great nation that we're speaking of, but all the Native American brothers and sisters. I have lived lifetimes as, part of the Lakota, the Sioux. I have been Anasazi. I have been out in the great lands of, the Southwest. And I recognize that from my journey last June, that many, many nations I've been part of, which is why I have this deep mission driven by my heart to help make amends, and to help restore peace and tranquility and the truth teachings.
Right.
And it's really, I hold it very deeply, and I know Joanne does too. And so again, we recognize for all of those, all the brothers and sisters, all nations across Turtle Island and beyond, we recognize the pain and the suffering, and it was done with intention. The long walks and the disruption of sacred burial grounds in this modern day with, politicians and the greedy corporations that are tearing through lands and laying down these black snakes, pipelines and Standing Rock and up in Canada and all around. These are things that we, get to stand in unity and say no more.
Right.
We have enough damage, enough destruction to the people and to the land, to the kingdoms. It is time that it is complete. and that we start anew.
I agree, Pam. All kingdoms on the planet are one. We're connected with the birds, with the rocks, with the trees, with all other people, and it is time for us to recognize that and listen to our inner voice, connect with the creator energy, and be the stewards to Mother Earth that we were intended to be for generations to come. And this is our mission now. It is.
Yeah.
It should be everyone's mission.
The the indigenous nations teach that what we're doing currently in the now, it is to prepare for the the next 7 generations. And so the children, and it's a really important part, is to teach the children, these ways. I see so many, certainly in all my years of education, I saw how we really went south with how we were teaching and how we were being. So many of the academics is on technology, books, all caught up in people's agendas. Really, it's time to teach children the values of the indigenous ways of honoring and respecting one another and the land, as we've been saying. So I know we've just got a couple minutes left. What I'd like to say is Joanne and I have another upcoming adventure. The Spirit is calling us, and we are really looking forward to that in a short time. And we will most likely be sharing our ongoing adventure and our big work up in this beautiful space up in the the land of the Haudenosaunee. Is that Shawnee? So the Seneca, the Mohawk. This confederacy is made up of the varying tribes. I've put some pictures up, and you can see the seals, so the totems, which have been our helpers. And I want to thank Joanne for being with me today and presenting and our very sacred walk. And please check out my Facebook page at Pam Silver Eagle. You see the sacred services that I offer, and I encourage you to reach out and schedule a session with me. I'm doing nature journeys up here in this area where I am currently located, and it's good healing work, activations, upgrades, frequency upgrades for everyone to assist people moving through their ascension process, and also some guidance, soul, and I call it the soul evolutionary guidance, mentorship that I'm here to also help those who call. So please look at that. And Joanne, my screen has frozen. I know you're still there, so I want to say thank you, sister. And any final words that you would like to share, words of wisdom, or just from your heart, however you want to share.
I just want to encourage everyone listening to listen to your heart. Open your hearts, listen to your heart. Reach out, be the peacemaker. Reach out to those that need help, and do anything you can to bring education to others about our planet and the importance of keeping our waters and our land clean and free of pollution. And learn about the indigenous people in your area. They have much to teach you. And that's the important thing right now. We need to listen to the indigenous people of the United States. And send love and blessings to all people.
And real quick, last thought is we're all moving through these huge shifts, really important for the self-care. Take time to do things that nourish you. Go places that bring you peace out into Earth Mother, and just be. Of course, help one another, but also take good care of you. What are you putting in your body temple? And are you resting, integrating these energies coming in? Just call in the frequencies of joy and breathe into that. So we will see you next week on the perch, and give lots of gratitude for this moment right here, right now, and all the blessings that are pouring in for all of us, each and every one of us. And no, I'm grateful.
I am too. Very grateful. Very, very grateful for all the gifts we have on this planet.
Blessings to all. Have an amazing day.
Don't want the fun to end? Grab more refreshments. Then head over to the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel. With the huge selection of shows, the fun doesn't have to end.